Hello, dear friends. How are you doing? Corinne Clapham here, your intuitive mystic wellness guide and healer. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to give you a brief description on the energy update. Happy new moon. It is in the sign of Leo. If we have any Leos here, please put it in the comments below. I'm really hoping you can't hear the yard guys right outside of the window who are doing the lawn of the neighbors. It's so interesting when you have a human right there. Like any second, they could just look in and see you, and it's this awkward little stare. Nonetheless, moving forward, okay, we have it in the sign of Leo. So, Leo this energy can really bring out our courage, our urge to speak up, to open up our voice, really work on your throat chakra center and to be seen and to be heard and to speak up for the things that you have been keeping quiet about. And if you think about Leo, the lion, and a lion, how it just opens and it roars, right? And how it can be so tame and such a beautiful animal, but when it wants to speak, it is heard. Um, and every zodiac sign has its shadow aspects. So, with that, we just want to be mindful if we're noticing things coming up, for example, triggers, but more so anything around jealousy or feeling left out. Really taking stock when those emotions come up and when memories or situations come up that invoke that emotion. And how can you soothe that emotion? What is the belief system that has been catapulting that, right? Because it always resorts back down to a belief system. And so if we can figure out where that is coming from, that's where we can release it. That's one way of doing it, anyways. I'm not doing a moon awakening this new moon. However, next month, August, I'll be doing a full moon awakening. And in there, I'll be utilizing one of the modalities that I've been trained in. I got my training in California, which is really exciting. And this is going to be another way that we release emotions. And for that one, we don't necessarily have to know where it's coming from, the triggers or what the memory is. Although journey work that I do, that is tapping into the cellular memory and digging up the memory that has been causing the unhealthy patterns and habits and belief systems. So, with that said, just taking stock within you when it comes up and know it's something within the self. So, there's a lot of energies that are going on. So, and I'm going to go into that in one moment, but we want to make sure we're not lashing out, that we're not projecting, right? We really want to deal with it internally. It doesn't mean you have to deal with it by yourself. There's nothing wrong with reaching out for help. It's always better to do that, because then we're not so much inside. We have an outside source that's helping us navigate it through. What I mean by the other energies and why we don't want to lash out, especially if there's really strong emotions that are coming up, and I've noticed like irritability is one of them. We also have Jupiter that's going into retrograde the next day, tomorrow. And Jupiter is one of the biggest planets, and it's all about expansion. So we have a really good energy working with us in that. It's really going to help us to catapult into our dreams, our desires, and to really have that forward momentum with it. However, we have Mars, North Node, and Uranus that is going to be that are in conjunction. And that'll be happening towards the end of the month, but we're already starting to see that bubble up. We're already starting to see the energies fuel with that. And that's where some heat's coming in. And this is why I say to be mindful not to lash out, because Mars, that planet, is about heat. It's about aggressiveness. So it might instill that in us. And it's very interesting because, as you know, the past couple of weeks, physically we've been having heat, right? Like it's been very hot in countries like UK, Italy, even in Canada, we've had it quite hot. But these other countries, they normally don't get weather that hot, right? And so it's been activating warmth temperature wise in our surroundings, but it's also activating that heat within us. And so a part of the irritability I feel is coming from there. And we just want to make sure we're not so short tempered. If we can come at it with an energy knowing that everybody's doing the best they can, or if there's a miscommunication, it's all about just talking it out, hearing each other out, and giving time. This is a big one. slowing things down. And it's almost polarized in a way because I feel like Jupiter is going to be catapulting us in a really good momentum. So, really use discernment where you want to use that momentum and where are other places you need to slow it down. And I'll give you an example. Today, I was driving, actually, I was driving a fair bit because I had different things going on today. But there's a couple of times where, like, there was one time a car was going to turn at a light, but there's still oncoming cars coming, so he couldn't turn, and then he was in an awkward spot, and then we were waiting. And I will be honest, sometimes my patience level when it comes to driving isn't always the best unless I'm really on my meditation routine, like 20 minutes a day, then I'm like cool as a cucumber. But truth be known, I haven't really been up with it lately. And I was actually really calm because I was like, you know what? That's okay. We can wait. It's much better to wait and everybody just be safe. So I don't even want that driver to feel urgency from all the other cars behind him or anything like that. It's like, you know what? You do what you got to do. Take your time. Most important thing is people are safe. And I noticed that a couple times today where like a driver would do something like that. And I'm like, you know, it's all good. Whatever. If we have to wait a couple more minutes, we'll wait a couple more minutes. It's better to wait and be safe rather than rush and have another outcome that none of us want, right? So this is what I mean. Use discernment when we need to slow things down. Use discernment in when you need to rest. And use discernment and ride that wave if you get that inspirational pull. Like I love when those energies come in. They don't always come in. Sometimes we need to motivate and inspire ourselves. We have to take action, right? But we have quite a lot going on. We also have the Lionsgate that's coming up. And I feel like time's going so quick because I feel like I've just talked about this not too long ago. But the Lionsgate is a really auspicious portal that's coming up. And again, working with the new moon, we want to focus on our desires. What is it that we want to bring in into this next new moon phase? With the Lionsgate portal, we also have that energy that's giving us that support, that momentum, and really bringing those dreams alive. So get clear on what it is that you want to call in and let go of the mental mind chatter. Let it go. Because sometimes that wants to come in. And I have parents that are very practical. They worked in the government. You know, you get a job 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, stability, this and that. And it's not always like that for everybody, right? But I've noticed in myself growing up with parents who are like that, my sisters who also is in like tech, computer tech and whatnot. So that's a stable thing as well. And I've always been in, for example, I went and I studied film and television production and then was flight attendant for a bit. And then I started my own business. So it was a very different energy and a different realm than the rest of my family. But sometimes, you know, family comes from a place of love and they want to put their thoughts, their their suggestions and how they would do things. But we all don't operate the same as each other, especially if we're very different, even in the things that I just said, right? Like those are very different personality types and how we work and we operate. And so sometimes that can seep into our subconsciousness. And then we have this mental mind chatter that's always wanting a game plan. They like, what's going to be next? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? Right? Like my dad is very much like that. But we don't always need to know those answers. That's just a paradigm that we've been raised in, that we have to figure things out that way, right? And certain people have to they operate that way still in that paradigm, but not all of us do. We can have a dream and let go of the how and the when. Sure, we still need to take action and we take action steps, but it's okay to also leave room for the universe to support us. Because quite often the universe, whatever word you want to put in place of that, knows a lot more than what we know, right? There's a lot going on in the background that we don't see that the universe does. And quite often there's a different and better plan that we ever would have. So dream without having to think of, you know, if you need the education, if you need the money, this and that. Just dream big, put down your dreams, and then you can write down all the action steps that you need in order to get there. Okay, so just work a little bit backwards. Sometimes people feel like you have to have the whole plan and then go for it, but you can do it backwards, reverse engineer it. And like I said, allow the time for the universe to support you with it and ask for that guidance as well. There's nothing wrong with that. So, put in the comments below. I would love to know, what is it that you want to call in? What is it that you want to bring in? Things have been shifting a lot, even from since April. I think we had an energy around April and May where we were just like, there was this beautiful energy where we were just like, go, 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 and going into this experience and that opportunity. And then through June, July, especially towards the end of June, beginning of July, we started to realize, okay, maybe what I thought was a really great idea or what I stepped into was a great idea, but I'm not feeling like it aligns anymore. And that's okay, because as we grow, we're going to shift and change. So don't be hard on yourself if you're feeling like, oh, I thought that's what I wanted, or I thought that was great, but I'm starting to see these things that don't align with me. That is okay. Trust your internal compass. Those feelings within you will guide you. I had to pull back on some things and actually give my 2 weeks notice somewhere because I was getting massive anxiety about it. And that's the body's internal compass telling us, right? It's showing us what works and what doesn't. And then what action steps do we have to take from that? Now, there was something else I wanted to say. There's going to be a lot with the Jupiter energy. Things might feel like it's moving really fast, and that's okay. But this is why we want to keep very grounded. This is why we want to keep up with our practices. This is why we want to really be in our root chakra and make sure we're grounded in that area. And so, place your time in nature. Do what you have to do, because it's going to help you a lot. We have a lot of opposing different energies that are going on and will be going on soon. And with the Mars energy, the North Node, and the Uranus, it's going to be, Uranus is like all about illusions. And so we might see things out in the external world that are going to be more clear in what's really been going on. But with that as well, is we're going to see in ourselves, like, yes, let's dream big, but how can we also keep grounded as well? How can we also have tangible action steps to move towards those things? And with those conjunction energies together, a lot of things that I'm seeing people say about it, the astrologers, because I don't 100% feel it to be 100% right for everybody, but this may be for some people. And I do want to share it in case you do feel this energy. I want you to know it's not you personally. But one things that I'm noticing a lot of people are saying about it, it's going to be very fast momentum, but big changes, like Mars and whatnot is going to come in and like shake things up and turn things upside down, like Uranus energy as well. So there might be big shifts and changes that are happening. So I don't take on that belief system, to be quite honest. However, I have been seeing a lot of people talking about it, like I just told you, but I've also been seeing people a lot already going into it. And I feel like it's important to share it because, like I said, if you know what's going on, know it's the energies. And I've already, I see clients or people around me who are going through a breakup. They've already gone through a breakup, or they got fired from a job, or people are quitting jobs, or what have you. So there's a lot of things that are happening. But when those things happen, we have to trust that it is guiding us onto a bigger and better path. Always, right? And I know even for myself, I had a dance audition not too long ago, and there was a lot of different little energies that were coming up, some of them that I was speaking about, but um, you know, around not feeling good enough, or feeling insecure, or not feeling included. And this is a really big theme that I've seen come up too past month. And I don't mean just July, but I mean like the past 4 weeks, is not feeling included. And here's the thing, the reason why it really hits home for a lot of people is because centuries ago we were very community and tribal based. And if you got ousted, or if you're put out of that group or that community or that tribe, it was a really horrific thing. And there's still a little bit of that energy that lingers within us. And that's why when we go through little situations, it can activate a really like a big sting. It can really be a heavy emotion, even though you may feel like, well, okay, whatever. It's just something that happened that whatever, it's not a big deal. But know that's where it comes from. And sometimes when we know where things come from, we're able to shift through it a lot easier. We're able to heal through it a lot easier because we don't take it personal. We can do the healing in it. It's like, okay, maybe there's some of that residual feeling within me left. But going back to this dance audition, they they were telling us that they were going to call all of us and let us know in the next couple of days. And I didn't hear back. And then the weekend came, and then the end of the weekend came. And so I messaged a friend that happened to also be in the audition. We didn't know we were both going to be in it. We just happened to see each other on it. And I already knew some people got the news back because I saw them posting on Instagram how excited they were. So I was like, oh shoot, okay, this if I haven't heard back yet by now, and these people are already posting on social media, that's why I wanted to message my friend, the person I knew. And she said, yeah, she got a phone call and this and that. So I was like, okay, yeah, I think I know where I sit with this. And it's never a pleasant feeling, but again, this is an opportunity where we can trust that if something doesn't fall onto our path, that there's a bigger and better door that's going to come. And we don't want to bypass things either by just telling ourselves that to feel better. We also have to look at it, okay, what can I do to improve? Maybe there's something that I need to learn more, or I can improve more. And in this case, I didn't like completely ace the audition. We were supposed to have a solo dance ready and prepped. I didn't even know I got the audition spot until late that night because I didn't see the email come in previously. And then the next morning I was teaching a yoga class. And literally during the yoga class, I set the playlist. I just put a bunch of songs in there that I thought maybe I might want to do my solo on. And that's when I was trying to figure out what song I was going to play for my audition. But even then, I couldn't really focus on the music because I'm teaching and I'm present with my student, and I'm like having to guide everybody through the movement. So my head is more focused on that. And then when I came home, I had a little bit of time before I had to hop on the Zoom audition because the actual audition was taking place in a different city. But I like literally figured out the song probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes before. And so I knew I wasn't as prepped as I wanted to be. And in the audition, it's outside of my comfort zone. I'm not a professional dancer. I have danced a bit, but even then, I feel like I was in a group where a lot of them were professional dancers, and I felt a little bit out of place because I was a professional dancer. So I was really having to, do my best in what I could do. And I knew I was kind of like, again, it kind of brings up those memories again, those feelings again of feeling like, okay, not up to par, not up to speed with everybody. And for me, that brings up memories of when I was a child in school in younger grades, because in some of the classes, I would be pulled out of regular class and put into another one of like 3 or 4 people. And I never understood that back then. I was like, why do I have to leave all my other classmates and my friends in my class and go to this other class? And back then, I don't think we had the language and how to deal with those situations. And I'm talking about maybe the teachers and my parents. Nowadays, they talk about, well, they call it learning disabilities. I don't think it's a disability. I just think we learn differently. And so when we're in a school system that caters to the majority and tries to fit everybody else in a box, what happens is, if we're doing that, we're not catering to other learning styles, because there is different learning styles. I've taken courses on this, and there's tests that you can do to see what learning style you are. But if that's not being supported, and teachers aren't having the proper training or the knowing and how to be able to adapt and to accommodate all those different learning styles, there's 4 main ones, and then there's probably separate segues within them. Then what happens is, for example, in my experience, is then we get pulled out of a class we don't understand. So then these belief systems of feeling like not good enough, not smart enough, can't keep up with the rest of the people starts to creep in, right? And that can sometimes become our reality. And that's what started to happen later on in my years. I just had this belief system. I wasn't smart enough and I had to do double the work just to keep up and be at average speed. And my dad used to have to do extra work with me around math homework. And then he would get frustrated and then he would yell and then I would freeze up and then he would get more frustrated with that. And I hated math. And now I still hate math because I had such a bad experience with it. And so what we have to see within ourselves, this is what I'm talking about earlier in the beginning as one of the examples, jealousy. If you're noticing that emotion in you, and that's just an example, start to see where that's coming from. And you can kind of see how it came for me with all these emotions with the dance auditions. It brought up all these emotions and these memories from the past. It brought up an emotion memory that I had back when I was a flight attendant. And a lot of us normally, back then, that airline, we would get laid off every summer because we predominantly did vacation destinations. So it was very busy during the winter, but not busy enough in the summer to keep us around. And so we usually got laid off. So a lot of us were applying to another airline where they're very busy in the summer because they have the big planes and they can do the Europes and all those places. And so a lot of us applied to it. And every time I would go to work and I was with my crew, they would talk about how they got a call, they got their interview. And I was like, I didn't get a call yet. I didn't get an interview yet. So I was like, okay, maybe I got lost in the shuffle. Maybe. So I resubmitted my resume. And then it was happening again where I'd be working with a crew. And I remember one distinct memory. We were in an airport. I don't remember what city that was in, but we're in an airport. We're on the escalators going down. We're in uniform and we're between flights. And then everybody was talking about it again, how they got interviewed and all that. And like, I could feel my eyes start to well up. I wanted to cry because this feeling was coming back. This like very heavy feeling of like, okay, wasn't good enough to make the cut. Wasn't good enough to get a phone call or interview or what have you. And I'm still in uniform, so I got to keep it together. I got to be professional here. So I'm trying so hard not to even blink my eyes because when your eyes well up with tears, if you blink, it'll just all start streaming down. So then eventually I get a phone call and I do the interview process. I do the French speaking process because you have to know another language. I don't know how I did in that part. And then towards the end, the guy giving me an interview realizes that I had applied twice and realizes that I didn't make the cut the first time and realizes I wasn't supposed to get that phone call or interview. And it ended up being a very awkward time in the phone conversation because he's like, and then that makes you feel even more horrible because you're like, oh my God, they weren't even supposed to call me. It was an accident. Now he's retracting. So I was like, wow, what a road of experiences. What a roller coaster that was. And of course, I didn't get the job with that airline. But here's the thing, going back to this, we have to always trust that a bigger door opens. And sometimes we don't get things because it's best for us. It's better for us. And in the end, it was better I didn't get it with that airline because then I stayed with the other airline. I worked during the winters, was able to fly down south during the winters. And I'm not a big fan of cold weather. And I was living in Canada. So for me, that was amazing. And then I had my summers off. So it almost worked out better that I wasn't working with this airline in the hot weather and doing these really long flights to Europe. And then I ended up going with another airline because the company I stayed with, they ended up closing down, completely shutting down. So then I applied for another airline, a different one, and I got the interview and I got accepted. I did the training. I was in a different city and then actually I got fired from that. And I told that story before in other stories, so I won't go into it. But the very gist of it, 3 weeks into training, I ended up slipping on black ice. And then before you know it, actually in training, they were pushing me to do some physical things in first aid, ironically enough. And I did what I needed to do. I did it successfully. However, my group wanted to keep practicing and they were all telling me to sit. The trainer continued to want me to do it, but I had to speak up for myself because I already did it numerous times successfully and what needed to be done. I knew we were going to have more rigorous physical drills that we were going to have to do after. So I went and sat down. And if she wasn't going to care for my well-being, I had to care for my well-being. And then, yeah, before you know it, I get pulled into a room with HR. So, and I don't regret that. I don't regret that because, you know, they really, like, the reason why I wanted to work for this company is because they really came across as like really good morals and really great value system. And we just learned not too long ago with training, if there's anything that we feel that we're put into doing that's not safe for ourselves, you know, to speak out, to do something. And they say that, but then they don't really support that. And you can see that because I wasn't supported by my trainer, and a proper trainer would never push someone to do that, knowing what had happened. I had already had hip to my trauma from that fall. And I was still doing everything in my power to do well with my participation, my exams, my drills, and my first aid. And I did what I had to do successfully, but she wanted to push it. And eventually we have to speak up for ourselves, because if someone else is not going to care for us, we have to do that for ourselves, our own body, our own being, our own mental health. And so anyways, long story short, that had happened. But what transpired from that is that I ended up to travel road trip to California, which is something I wanted to do. I ended up traveling on my own terms, and I ended up opening up my own business. And so, which is what I do now in the wellness realm. So it's like, this is what I mean. We have to trust that there's always a bigger and better door, and it may not always be straightforward. And that's why I was sharing that story with you. It wasn't like, you know, this happened and then I jumped straight to this. You know, there was some experiences along the road with it, but releasing all those and really forgiving those moments and really seeing the teachable moments and seeing where we can improve. And with the dance, it's like, I know I can improve. There's definitely lots of improving that I can do there. And so seeing what that is and having the faith, having the trust, taking the action steps. And the other reason I wanted to share this all with you too, and being very vulnerable with my own personal experiences here, is because sometimes on social media, all we see is everybody's highlights and their successes. But, you know, I may have some successes, but I can tell you I've had a lot of, some hard moments, you know what I mean? And I just shared some with you. And I can tell you, even going back to some other memories that pop up when we're dealing with these themes, for example, for me, is like not feeling good enough or not feeling up to speed, or everybody's so much more advanced or what have you. When I applied to university and colleges, you paid a fee. So you paid one fee and you could apply to 5 colleges, and you paid another fee for universities and you could apply up to 3. I don't know how it works now. This is many, many years ago. But that first year I applied to it, I got one rejection letter after another. I don't even really like to call it a rejection letter, but 5 colleges and 3 universities turned me down. And so what I had did was, at that time I was actually already in college because I never finished high school. I really did not like high school. I'll be honest. I hated school so much. And so I ended up going as a mature student to college, and I got my equivalency in the first year of general arts and science, specializing in media communications. And so once I was in that first year certificate program and I knew what I wanted to go into, which was film and television production, I applied, and that's when I got all those, those letters, non-acceptance letters. I don't know what a better term to say is for that in this moment. But what I realized is, okay, I'm going to do my second year, get my diploma in general arts and science. And I'm going to continue working at my portfolio, because you need to have a portfolio when you're applying for that realm, that industry. So I kept working at it. And then the following year, I didn't even apply to universities. I was like, okay, I don't have the GPA for that. So, but I just applied for colleges. And it was better because I'm more of a hands-on person. I'm not someone who really learns listening to lectures hours and hours at a time in a university setting. I like being hands-on. I like being right there in the action. I like being on set. And that's more my learning style. That's why I had a hard time in high school in the previous years, because it's just a teacher talking. And it's hard for me to focus for a very long time. Um, so for me, and then 4 schools I didn't get into. Actually, 3 of them I didn't get into. One I got on a waiting list somewhere in Thunder Bay, and then one of them I got accepted to in Oakville. I had no idea where Oakville was. I just applied to a bunch of schools because you could apply up to 5 for that one fee. So some of them I didn't even know much about the colleges. I was like, wow, moving to Oakville. I thought I was like maybe gonna have tumbleweeds or something rolling across. I was like, where am I moving to? And it ended up being, as I was telling people I got accepted to Sheridan, people are like, wow, that's a really good school. They're really known for their animation and for their theater and for the arts. And I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea about this. And so this is another example. Sometimes we are brought into a better situation for us, and we wouldn't have known that beforehand, right? My dream school was Ryerson. I wanted to go to Ryerson. And then, but I ended up going to the best school for me. I ended up going to Sheridan. It was so hands-on. It was absolutely amazing. It was perfect. And again, like I didn't know anything about that school, right? So sometimes the universe knows more what would be best suited for us than what we know. That's why we have our dreams and then we let go and we allow that balance to be there, to have that helping hand from the universe. So I really hope that these examples of what I went through has really helped you to understand how you can utilize it for yourself. It may not be the same thing. Maybe for you it's jealousy. Maybe it's something else that's coming up, whatever it is. And I say jealousy because that is a little bit of a theme with the Leo energy. And I have seen it already with some people that have been popping up. So again, use those examples that I went in through, and how can you apply it to your understanding and your healing and your knowing for what it is that you are going through. All right, my dear friends, I'm sending you all so much love. Happy new moon, and a couple of announcements for events that are coming up. Like I said, the next full moon, which is August 11th in Collingwood, in this beautiful location in a yurt. I will be doing the full moon awakening. We're going to be using a very special emotional release technique that I've received my training in California. There'll be sound healing at the end. And of course, we'll talk about astrological wisdom and how you can use it to work with you instead of feeling like it's working against you. I will put the link in the description box below, or you can reach out to me directly. August 23rd, at the same location inside this beautiful yurt, I'm going to be doing a goddess activation. I do suggest, if you can make it to the full moon awakening, that would be really great, because we're going to be doing a lot of healing in that one. And then when we come into the goddess activation, you'll already have cleared out a lot of energy that might have been already blocking you previously. And then we're going to step into and be harnessing this beautiful sovereign energy within yourself. And all of us has it. It's just a matter of activating it. It's a matter of clearing some things that might have been in the way. And so that's going to be a very beautiful, auspicious time. And again, there'll be a sound healing with that too. I'll also put that link down below, or reach out, because I don't even think we have the, you know what, reach out to me if you're interested in that, because we don't have the booking link for that just yet. August 16th, I will be doing psychic oracle medium readings at Awaken Spiritual Store. I did it twice this past month, and it was really, really great. It was a success. I will be doing it again. There's about 4 or 5 spots, or I don't know how many are left now, but you definitely want to book that in advance. It's at an incredible, amazing price. And because I have brought down my price for that space, I have also brought down my other psychic medium oracle readings that you can do one-on-one with me, either through Zoom or in person if you happen to be in the same area as me. And for a limited time, that price has been adjusted the same way it is when I'm doing it at the other community place. So, my dear friends, there's a lot of things here for you to support you. And of course, if you want deeper healing, you can always reach out to me. I've got my Awakened Goddess 4-month program where you get your astrology chart so you can understand yourself a lot better. We work with the energies and when you can, whether it's moving or launching something, relationship, what have you. You also have yoga, meditation in it. You have journey healing in it, cellular healing, energy healing. I mean, it is like your complete support system with your coaching and with your healing. The coaching, we have specific coaching sessions in that where we work solely on our goals and the action steps towards it and the accountability. And then we have the healing session. So it helps to clear out the blocks that have been standing in the way. You can make as many goals as you want, but if you're not healing the internal things that have been standing in the way, that's when a lot of people experience the 2 steps forward and then feeling like 1 step backwards kind of thing, or feeling stuck. So it's completely all encompassed in one place. I wish there was something like that when I was going through my healing, my back injury, and when I was going through my depression when I was a younger child. But you can reach out to me and we'll just chat on a call, and you can ask more questions and take it from there. So just know there's so many tools here to support you. I'm here to support you. Reach out. We can chat. I love you all so much. Keep in touch. Much love, Corinne Clapham.